Hi, everybody. I just wanted to quickly do this little video recording to go over how the class is changing after, well, all the pandemic. So let me start by sharing my screen real quickly, and then I'll just walk through how things have changed. Okay, so this is, nothing has changed in regards to the learning management system we're using. We're still going to use Google Classroom. I have created a new topic for Google Classroom, though, the COVID reboot. So we'll just start with the syllabus. And this is the new revised syllabus. There's really, I've gone over most of this in the email that I sent out to everyone. But there's three things that we're going to do for the remaining assignments to wrap up the class. The first one is just an email update on where you're at in completing modules 1 through 3. So that's just a brief email that tells me where you're at, what you've got done, what you haven't, and what you think you'll be able to do to get caught up to module 3. After that, and please just tell me what you think you can do and we'll work from there. Don't overextend yourself, don't underextend yourself. Just what you can do and we'll go from there. Then the second thing is completing a revised reading assignment. I'll open that document here in just a minute and go through that. That's for the readings from chapters, for modules 4 through 6. And then the last thing is we'll complete the revised final project. Basically what we're doing away with is the experiential activities for modules 4 and 5, and then and there wasn't really much of 1 and 6, and then also the journal articles for 4 and 5. And we're changing a little bit about how we report or how we interact and share our thoughts on the reading assignments. Okay, so modules 1 through 3, in some ways this was kind of convenient how this happened. So modules 1 through 3 will be 50% of the grade, just like they were from the very beginning of the semester. And so that sort of remaining 50% will divide up 25% of it for the revised reading assignment, and then 25% of it for the completion of the final project. Honestly, I really believe in sort of a narrative pass-fail kind of a assessment structure. And so, you know, if you just do these things and do them, interact and engage and communicate with me about how you're doing them, everybody's going to do just fine in this class. Okay, and then so lastly is a suggested schedule for the rest of the semester for completing these things. It starts on the week of 3/30, so next week. That means between now and then, please get me that email explaining where you are in modules 1 through 3. So then starting next week, we'll do the readings for module 4. That's a pretty long set of readings, so that's probably the longest of the remaining modules. The following week, we'll do module 5 readings and then start the final project. Most of you have already kind of started that, but formally start the final project. The following week of 4/13, move on to module 6 readings. Go back and reply to module 5. I skipped that part in the previous week, so you'll have also replied to module 4. And then you can get an initial review of your final project this week. If you let me know where that you're ready for that, I'll go into the Google document and give you some thoughts and review and some feedback on that. Then the week of 4/20, we'll finish up replying to all the comments from module 6 readings. And then we're just focused for the last week and a half on the final project. Okay, so that's a really quick review of the syllabus. I'll go in now to the revised reading assignment. You just click this. This should be a shared document that we all have editing privileges on. However, even though you could go in and change the body of the text, I'd prefer you use the commenting features of Google. And so please just when you, okay, let me back up there a minute. So what I would like you to do in this is read read the chat, read the modules readings. It's a lot of reading, but read the modules readings. Then come back in and share your thoughts and ideas from those readings in comments. So like maybe you want to answer this question of how are elders defined. So highlight a little bit of it in there, come over here, open it and enter your response. Hit comment, and then that's that. And then so go through the readings. Maybe you have something that you want to say about George's work here, so you just highlight something in there, come over, click, da-da-da-da, type it up, cancel. My hope is tomorrow to get some example comments up in there and to go through the comments with you. It's honestly been a long time since I've read these articles in this sequence, so it'll be really fun. But what I'm looking for here is more short, frequent comments rather than a single comment that explains everything you thought about the reading. So one thing I might do is, have this document open while I'm reading the resource with two screens, and then as I have a thought, come over here and just click it and enter it as a comment on this master document that we're all going to get to share. Okay. And then from our syllabus, where it says in the syllabus, module 5 reading, or module 5 readings here, say as an example, that means go in and put your initial comments, okay? But then a week later, I'd like you to go back in and reply to other people's comments and just kind of make it an asynchronous conversation that occurs on this document. Not there. Hold on one second. So, shorter, more frequent comments is kind of the goal with that. I don't have a set number that I'm expecting from you right at this point. Everybody's going to need to engage in this at a little bit different level depending on how your time constraints have changed. So if you're concerned that you're not commenting enough or something, get a hold of me and we'll just talk and make sure we have it worked out. Okay. So lastly, let me review the final project. I've created a template for that just to sort of simplify things. So if you click on that in the Google Classroom, it's going to download a copy of it for you. And then I have a set of questions that I would like you to go through around the final project. Everybody has already sort of started forming your final projects. And if possible, I'm happy for you to continue doing those same projects that you've been thinking about in modules 1 through 3. To the level that you need to adapt them because maybe you're now all of a sudden teaching online, or maybe all of a sudden you're helping a lot of people teach online if you already were teaching online. Or any of the variety of changes that have occurred in your life. If you need to modify this final project, that's fine. But this template is regardless of whether you're doing an IRB or whether you're doing a curriculum or whether you're doing a traditional research paper, this template is kind of an additional item that is a framework for what I would like you to think about in that final project. So there's a main purpose. I want you to identify the stakeholders that are involved, the benefits that your project will have to those stakeholders, the potential downsides to those stakeholders. You'll notice most of this is following the IRB template or IRB format for explaining your project or research to them. So I've kind of copied a lot of that off. Then this one here, documentation. This I'd like you to explain what kind of documents you need to create to do your project, right? So if you're doing your IRB, that might be the IRB form, and just explain what's in that, what's required of it, and what's in it, what's required of it. If you're doing a lesson plan, then you'd want to include the kinds of documentation that you need to work on in order to implement your lesson plan. And then in the next section, it links to those documents. So if you wrote up your lesson plan, a link to that. very helpful. Any kind of documentation that you need to do, if you do it in one of the Google tools, then it's easy to share with me, and you can just put the link to that document in this box. I think documentation is probably a section where you may have some questions, and it's probably easier if we just individually meet and address those questions. The implementation plan, most of you had projects that you were going to be doing and trying. That might very well have changed at this point. So this is sort of the plan to implement it. Hopefully you're going to still be able to, but if you can't, it's sort of a, not quite a fictitious, but a hoped for implementation plan, what you would need to do to implement it. And then the outcome is sort of like the results section of a normal paper. And again, this is just sort of a reflective piece on how it went. Let's see. If you don't actually get to implement your project, then this part will be more of a thought experiment. With that, I'll wrap it up. And as always, email me, give me a call. I think my number's on the syllabus, but it's 907-750-7077. And let's schedule a meeting one-on-one if we haven't already, or if you have more questions if we have. So I'll cut this recording short so it's not too long, and talk to you all later, and stay healthy.